Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you another heartfelt story, one about love, about choices in life, and about the journey of two people in a peaceful countryside, Lythieuca and Officer Hùng. After all the ups and downs they've been through, their life seemed to have finally found peace. But this time, a new turning point arrives. Because of his job at a station more than 130 kilometers away, Hùng has been thinking a lot. He wishes to be closer to his wife and son, not to live apart, not to worry every time Lythieuca is home alone with little Tony. He gently tells her his wish, to sell their current house, the one filled with memories, and move with him to a new place. There, he's found a large piece of land near his workplace. He promises to build her a beautiful garden home, with rows of areca palms, a gourd trellis, the laughter of their child in the morning, and peaceful afternoons spent together. But for Lythieuca, every brick, every corner of this yard holds memories, her effort, her love, and the presence of her mother during the hardest years. Leaving would mean saying goodbye to the place that carried her youth. Staying would mean accepting distance, and waiting for Hùng to return after each long shift. Between 130 kilometers and a home. Between love and longing. What will Lythieuca choose? Stay with me until the end of today's video, to hear her decision, and to see whether love is strong enough for them to begin a new chapter together. The night passed slowly. The ticking of the wall clock echoed steadily, each sound like the heavy beat of a weary heart. The tea had gone cold, the steam faded, leaving only a faint bitterness on his tongue. Hùng sat in silence, eyes fixed on the curtain swaying gently by the porch. Each time the wind passed, the fabric moved like the soft breathing of the house, a place filled with love and memories. He closed his eyes. In his mind, scenes flickered by. Lythieuca sitting by the porch picking vegetables. Little Tony toddling around. And Mother smiling warmly on the bamboo bed. Such simple moments, yet they were the very things he feared losing the most. If one day he had to go far away, would this house still feel warm? Would those familiar laughs still echo when he was gone? He asked himself, then fell quiet again. As a husband, as a father, he wanted to bear all the burdens. But as a man, there were times when choices weighed too heavily, and his heart grew weak. Outside, the moon hung low, pale and cold. The courtyard shimmered in patches of silver light, reflecting off the police vehicle parked near the garden corner. He knew that come morning, he'd have to return to work, back to duty. But this time, he didn't want to leave alone, he wanted to take his family with him. Stepping out into the yard, he looked up at the sky. The stars twinkled as if urging him on. I have to tell her. No matter how hard it is, I have to say it, he whispered hoarsely to himself. Dawn neared. The crow of a distant rooster echoed from the edge of the village, blending with the soft rustle of areca leaves. Hùng walked back inside, gently setting his empty cup on the table. He looked at Lythieuca, still asleep, her face peaceful beside little Tony in her arms. A rush of tenderness welled in his chest, stinging his eyes. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll tell you everything. Whatever you choose, I'll respect it. I just want you to know, all I want is for our family to stay together." The next morning, the first rays of sunlight streamed through the window, filling the small room with warmth. Birds sang to welcome a new day. Hùng was already up, brewing a fresh pot of tea, waiting for Lythieuca to wake. Today, he would finally speak his heart, carrying with him all the love and worries of a man determined to protect his home. Hùng sat in silence, watching her. The morning light streamed through the window, casting a soft golden glow over Lythieuca's shoulders. In that quiet moment, he realized, the woman before him wasn't just his wife, she was the very heart and roots of their home. "I know," Hung began, his voice low and gentle. "You love this land. Every brick, every patch of soil bears your touch. But I'm afraid that if we keep living apart like this, one day, I might not make it home when you need me most." Hoài Ca sat on the edge of the bed, her hands clutching the hem of her shirt. Outside, sparrows chirped on the areca trees, and from the next room came Mother Ha's faint cough, familiar sounds that ached with tenderness. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with love and worry. "I understand, Hung. But if we leave, who will stop by to ask about Mother? Who will remember her tea, her vegetables, the areca trees in our yard?" Hung stepped closer and took her hands in his. "I don't want you to leave just to lose your home," he said softly. "I want you to bring that home with you. As long as you, Tony, and Mother are with me, anywhere we go can be home." Silence fell again. Only the sound of wind rustling through the areca leaves filled the room, stirring the edge of her sleeve. Hoài Ca looked toward the porch, where little Tony was playing with his wooden toy car. His childish laughter rang out, blending with the warm sunlight. "When our son grows up," she whispered, "I want him to know this place, to remember where he was born. If we leave, he might forget the scent of areca blossoms, the smell of straw, the rhythm of Grandma's rice pestle." Hung squeezed her hands a little tighter, a faint, wistful smile crossing his face. "Then I'll plant new areca trees. I'll build a yard just like this one. As long as you agree to come with me, I'll make it all again." Hoài Ca slowly withdrew her hands, turning away to hide the glimmer in her eyes. "Please, give me a little more time," she said softly. "I can't decide just yet." Hung nodded without another word. He knew, some decisions cannot be forced by reason, they can only be answered when the heart is ready to speak. Outside, the sunlight had grown bright and warm. The small house still smelled of freshly cooked rice and the sweet fragrance of areca flowers by the gate. Amid that morning peace, a new door in life was quietly opening. A place where Hoài Ca must choose between staying with her memories, or walking forward with love. Early morning. Mist still lingered on the areca leaves, each droplet glimmering like a tear left behind after a long night. From afar came the sound of a rooster crowing, the clinking of a pail, the soft thud of a buffalo's steps, all blending into the familiar symphony of a peaceful countryside dawn. Hung had been awake long before sunrise. He folded his uniform neatly, placed his badge carefully on the corner of the table. His old backpack was ready, only missing a few small things. Everything looked ordinary, yet inside him was an emptiness that no words could fill. He looked around the house. The bamboo table where Hoài Ca usually sat wrapping cakes. The clay stove still carrying the faint scent of last night's firewood. Tony's little wooden toy car lying on the ground, traces of an afternoon of laughter and play. All so familiar, so dear, and so hard to leave behind. Hoài Ca stepped out onto the porch, traces of white rice flour still on her hands. She looked at him quietly. No one spoke. Only the wind whispered through the roof, rustling the tall areca leaves above. Hung finally broke the silence, his voice low and sincere. "I understand, but when I'm far from you, I can't find peace. All I want is to stay close, to take care of you and our child." Mother Ha stood by the doorway, her hands still weaving a basket like every other morning. But her eyes lingered on her son's face for a long time. She sighed softly, her voice warm and calm like the morning dew. "My son, land is land, no matter where. What matters is people needing each other. But no one can choose for you. Listen to your heart, and to your wife and child too." The yard fell silent. Outside, the buffalo's hooves clacked on the village path, sparrows chirped on the branches. Hoài Ca lowered her gaze, saying nothing. Hùng stepped closer, gently taking her rough but warm hand, the kind of warmth born from working the earth. "I won't force you," he said softly. "But I hope, someday, we'll be closer. So that each morning, I can see you cooking breakfast, and see our son smile." Mother Ha looked at the two of them, eyes filled with love and sorrow. Then, little Tony, just 2 years old, toddled out from the house, tripping on the doorstep. Hoài Ca rushed to catch him and lifted him into her arms. The boy buried his face into her shoulder, his round eyes turning toward Hùng. "Ba, he mumbled, the half-formed word both sweet and heartbreaking. Hùng reached out and took him in his arms. He pressed Tony close to his chest, feeling the tiny heartbeat fluttering against his own. "Be good at home, okay? Daddy will be back in a few days." Tony didn't understand. He just reached for the shiny police badge on his father's shirt, babbling and giggling in between. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Sunlight filtered through the areca leaves, falling softly on the three of them, warm, golden, and bittersweet. Hùng kissed his son's forehead, then handed him back to Hoài Ca. He picked up his backpack and pushed his motorbike out to the gate. Mother Ha put down her basket and walked over, taking his hand gently. "Do your work well, my son," she said firmly. "I can take care of things here. Don't worry." Hùng bent down and embraced her tightly. The embrace of a grown man who, in his mother's arms, was still the same little boy he used to be. "Thank you, Mother. I'll go now." He turned to Hoài Ca. Their eyes met, saying everything words could not. She nodded slightly, her voice calm but trembling. "Take care of yourself. Message me when you arrive." The engine roared to life. Dust rose, glinting in the morning light. Hùng put on his helmet, turned back one last time, and saw Hoài Ca holding Tony on the porch, Mother Ha behind her, shading her eyes from the sun, watching him go. The bike grew smaller down the dirt road, swallowed by the golden haze. Left behind at the gate were the whispers of wind through areca leaves, the soft murmurs of a child in his mother's arms, and the eyes of a woman who couldn't stop looking toward the road. The road that carried away the man she loved. Hoài Ca held her son close, resting her head on his tiny shoulder. The boy had fallen asleep, his breath rising and falling softly. She whispered, as if to herself, "Now that you're gone, will you still remember the areca trees, the kitchen, and the three of us waiting for you?" Outside, golden sunlight poured over the rice fields. A new morning had begun. The start of days apart. And the quiet birth of a decision growing deep in the heart of a woman named Hoài Ca. In front of the gate, Hoài Ca stood for a long time. The road before her shimmered under the sunlight, golden dust still lingering in the air after Hung's motorbike had disappeared. The morning breeze drifted through the areca leaves, carrying with it the earthy scent of freshly turned soil. She couldn't take her eyes off that road, as if, by standing there just a little longer, Hùng might suddenly appear again, smiling and calling her name like he always did. Tony tugged at her sleeve, his round eyes looking up innocently. "Mom, where did Dad go?" Hoài Ca bent down and gently kissed his forehead. "Dad went to work, sweetheart. We'll call him this afternoon, okay?" The little boy blinked, then smiled, pointing toward the sky where a few white clouds floated lazily by. Hoài Ca followed his gaze, a strange emptiness welling in her chest. Without Hùng, the house suddenly felt larger, yet eerily quiet. By noon, sunlight spilled gold across the yard. The gourd vines hanging over the porch swayed softly, their tiny yellow flowers trembling in the breeze. Hoài Ca sat on the bamboo bed, opening her worn little notebook, the one where she kept track of chores, expenses, and the promises she and Hùng had made together. On a fresh new page, she wrote 2 words. Go and stay. She put down the pen and stared at the words for a long time. Beside go were Hùng promises. To live closer together, to build a new house, to have a green garden, and warm family dinners every evening. Beside stay were the breaths of familiarity. Mother Ha weaving baskets under the areca trees. Neighbor Ba calling out her morning sales. The summer cicada's song, and the small garden she had tended since childhood. She drew a line between the 2 words. Her hand trembled. Each stroke of ink felt like a needle stitching through her heart, painful, wordless. Inside the little house, the clock ticked steadily. The faint scent of lunch drifted from the kitchen, mingling with the smoky smell of burnt straw from the yard. Tony sat playing with his wooden toy car, babbling softly, "Ma, Ma," the words still uncertain, unfinished. She looked at him, her eyes slowly filling with tears. "My child, you're too little to understand. But one day, if we move somewhere far away, will you still remember this yard, your grandma's voice, and the smell of wet earth after the rain?" From the porch came Mother Ha's gentle voice. "Have you eaten yet, my dear? I cooked sour fish soup today." Hoài Ca wiped her tears, closed the notebook, and stepped outside. Her mother sat weaving a basket, her eyes calm and kind, like the moon after a storm. Hoài Ca hesitated before asking softly, "If I leave, who will take care of you, Mother?" Mother Ha smiled, her hands still working the bamboo strips. "I'm still strong. These legs can stand, these hands can still work. But I don't want to be the reason that holds you back. Wherever you find happiness, my heart will be there too." Hoài Ca looked at her for a long time, her lips trembling. "You say that, but I'm afraid I won't get used to it. There won't be areca trees, or a well, or neighbors calling my name the way they do here." Her mother set the basket down and took her daughter's hand, her voice steady and tender. "My child, a homeland isn't only where you were born, it's also where your heart chooses to live. If you bring your love and sincerity with you, flowers will bloom wherever you go." Tears slipped down onto her mother's hand. The old woman wiped them away and smiled gently. "And if you decide to stay, that's fine too. Where there's love, there's peace." Outside, the noonday light had softened. The wind whispered through the gourd vines, their leaves rustling like the quiet murmurs of time. Hoài Ca looked back at her notebook, the words, "Go," and "Stay," still there, neither darker than the other. She closed it softly, gathered Tony into her arms. In the tender rhythm of his breathing, she could hear the sound of her own heart, slow, tangled, and still searching for an answer. The afternoon settled slowly. The last light of day spread a deep golden hue across the gourd trellis, where tiny flowers began to close their petals, weary after a long day under the sun. From the fields came the scent of dry straw, of fresh soil, the familiar fragrance of the countryside after a day of heat. Inside the house, Hoài Ca sat by the wooden table. On it lay her old notebook, a pen, and a small phone with a faded casing. A soft ting broke the quiet. The screen lit up, Hung's name appeared. She tapped it gently and opened the message. The words appeared one by one, as if his familiar voice were whispering them in her mind. "I've arrived. I found a room near the station. If you agree, I'll come home this weekend to take you and Tony. If you're not ready, I'll wait." The choice is yours. Hoài Ca stared at the screen, her lips trembling slightly. Each word sank deep into her heart, not a plea, not pressure, but a message full of tenderness and respect. She could feel the quiet fatigue and longing behind those simple lines. Outside, the evening wind drifted through, carrying the earthy scent of dusk. The sunlight slanted through the porch, brushing against her hair, turning each strand into soft threads of gold. Tony was playing in the yard. His wooden toy car rolled across the ground, wheels creaking softly. The boy babbled a few broken words, his little voice uncertain but clear. Dy. Hoài Ca froze. She looked up. The child was still there, his small hands pushing the toy forward, eyes fixed on the road beyond the gate where the last sunlight was fading. The call was quiet, yet it lingered, echoing through the still air. Her heart trembled. That tiny daddy pierced through her doubts, stitching something deep within her, something she hadn't wanted to face. She picked up her notebook from earlier that day. The two words, go and stay, were still there. Now, the sunlight from the window fell across the page, illuminating the word go, its ink glowing brighter than before. She closed the notebook softly, her eyes stinging with tears. Around her, the wind whispered through the leaves, and the faint voice of her child, Daddy, echoed like the rhythm of her heartbeat. Hoài Ca looked toward the gate, where the sunset was melting into twilight. Night was coming. She knew, sooner or later, she would have to choose. Not between going or staying, but between holding on to the past and beginning a new journey beside the man she loved. She lifted Tony into her arms, pressing him close to her chest. His small warmth calmed her heart, and in that quiet stillness, she could almost hear a whisper. Don't be afraid, wherever there is love, there is home. Night falls. The quiet countryside sinks into the pale gold glow of oil lamps flickering faintly beneath the eaves. Crickets chirp in rhythm, their song blending with the hum of other insects, a melancholy symphony of the rural night. Inside the small house, a soft yellow light paints the wall, casting the shadow of a mother and her child asleep. Tony lies peacefully in his mother's arms, his fine hair damp with sweat, a few strands clinging to his forehead. His breathing is steady, warm, and gentle. Outside the window, the night breeze drifts in, carrying the fragrance of erica blossoms, the scent of earth, and the distant murmur of the river behind the house. Hoài Ca stirs. She opens her eyes and looks at her son, his tiny face resting in peace, hands loosely curled, the very image of innocence. She leans down, plants a tender kiss on his forehead, then quietly gets out of bed. The wooden floor creaks beneath her feet, the ticking clock marks each passing second, like the steady heartbeat of time itself. She opens the door and steps out into the yard. A cool night breeze greets her, moist with the scent of the day's fading heat and the sweetness of erica flowers. Above her, the sky is full of stars, October's heavens, clear and endless, every constellation shimmering bright enough to reveal each tree, each roof, each bamboo fence. The village lies asleep. Only the distant barking of dogs and the soft hum of insects fill the air, a lullaby of the countryside. Hoài Ca looks up. The full moon hangs in the sky, gentle and luminous, like a quiet reassurance. She stands still, her arms hanging loosely at her sides, her heart heavy yet strangely light. Her voice breaks the silence, soft, almost as if the wind itself had to lean close to hear. I don't have an easy choice to make. But I'll choose with love. Not with fear. The breeze brushes against her dress, lifting her hair slightly. Moonlight spills across her face, catching in her tear-filled eyes. She closes them, letting the night air wash over her, letting the fragrance of erica and the song of crickets weave together into a gentle lullaby. In that moment, she feels an unfamiliar calm. As if love itself could light the way home, no matter which road she takes. She turns back toward the house. The small home still glows with soft light. The faint scent of soap lingers, from the shirt Hung had washed before he left, gentle yet deep, like an invisible embrace surrounding her. On the table, the little phone still rests where she left it. Its screen is dark now, but the warmth of his message from earlier seems to linger in the air. Warm, like the heart of a man who's far away, but whose soul remains here. Hoài Ca reaches out, her fingers brushing lightly across the phone's surface, then pulls her hand back, silent. Her gaze falls to the floor, where her shadow stretches long, lonely, but steady. A narrator's voice rises, slow and deep, like the night wind whispering through the areca leaves. There are crossroads in life, not right, not wrong. Sometimes, what matters is not the road we take, but whether our heart is brave enough to walk it. Between 130 kilometers and a home. Between the call of love and the echo of memory. Will Hoài Ca follow her husband to a new land? Or stay to keep her roots in the soil that raised her? The imagined camera slowly pulls back. Hoài Ca's figure grows smaller in the courtyard, the moonlight draping her shoulders in a fragile glow. Above, the sky sparkles, a single shooting star streaks across, leaving a brief, beautiful trail. In the distance, a dog barks. The leaves rustle. The clock keeps ticking. The answer will come with the dawn. The screen fades to black. Soft piano notes blend with the whisper of the night breeze. And words appear slowly in the still frame. Stay tuned for the next episode, where Hoài Ca will follow the voice of her heart, and where a new chapter of her journey begins. In love, in courage, and in the things left unspoken.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người câu chuyện của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Thì mọi người thân mến, như mọi người cũng đã biết thì mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca thì hiện tại là đang ở chung căn nhà mà hôm vừa rồi bão thì cũng bị ảnh hưởng một chút, tại vì ở nhà của Hoài Ca khá là gần cái con suối ở cạnh nhà ấy, và mỗi lần nước lũ về thì nó sẽ dâng lên rất là cao. Điều đó khiến cho Hùng vô cùng lo lắng. Trong khi công việc của Hùng thì anh phải di chuyển đến cơ quan khá là xa, cách khoảng 150 km, thì Hùng cũng không có yên tâm khi để cho Hoài Ca ở một mình như vậy. Thì Hùng có gợi ý với Hoài Ca rằng sẽ cùng cô